Let's talk a little bit about repatriation. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This week in our Global Mobility Expat Related Term series, we're going to briefly talk about repatriation. And I say briefly because repatriation includes so much. There's so many things we can cover, but I basically just want to give you a definition and a few bullet points and then maybe point you towards a few other videos that you can watch to get a little bit more in-depth information about what repatriation entails. So in a nutshell, repatriation is when an expat employee has been living overseas and it's now time to return home or repatriate to their home country. So for me, this happened to me in December of 2020. We repatriated back to Texas when we had been living in Argentina and Angola for the past 7 years. And repatriation can be very difficult for expats that are now repatriating back home, even if they've only lived overseas for a few years. And that's because of reverse culture shock. It is definitely a very real thing. And if you haven't lived overseas, you might be wondering, well, what is so hard about moving back home? But truly, a good amount of psychological and emotional distress happens when you are moving back to your home country. And you have spent so much time and so much effort really trying to get used to the customs and the values in your new country or your expat country, that when you finally do move home and become a repat, sometimes it can be very difficult to kind of re-enter that society and relearn the values that you previously had or the customs that you previously had. And quite frankly, sometimes when you move home, it can just feel a little unfamiliar because you haven't been there for several years and things have changed a little bit and moved on, and it just feels very unfamiliar at times. I actually did an entire video on reverse culture shock and what it is and what it entails for repats. And then the second half of the video, I went into my personal experience and how I've experienced reverse culture shock when we moved back last December. So I will definitely link it up here in the cards for you to check out. It's a really great video to learn more about reverse culture shock and what you can expect as a repat. And if you have been an expatriate and you are planning on repatriating back, your company should have a very extensive repatriation program. It's really important that repatriation is handled well, and I think most companies recognize that and they want to help the expat employee as much as possible when it comes time to repatriate. And before you move overseas, so before you become an expat, you also might want to check out the repatriation program that they have for repats, because it is so difficult sometimes to come back home that it might be worth knowing what the policies, what the procedures are up front before you even go overseas. And that can really help you feel like you're making a good decision when you choose to move overseas as an expat. All right, friends, this was a really high level video about repatriation. I just wanted to give you a definition and some basic concepts around repatriation. I do plan on doing a separate video about the benefits that you can expect to receive when you repatriate from a company. So definitely be sure to hit that red subscribe button. That way, when I create that video about the benefits of repatriation, you'll be subscribed and you'll be able to watch it. All right, guys, I'll see you next week with another expat related term. Bye, friends.